pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll call this meeting to order. It's 5:30. Roll call, please.
Mac Rankin. Ben Metzger. Here. Eric Christensen.
Here.
Ryan Werling. Sue Wilson.
Here.
Jeanette Campbell.
Here.
Brady Dar.
Here. We have a quorum, so we are going to move on to, we're going to open for a public hearing for the 2026-2027 proposed school calendar. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on the proposed calendars. So this includes both traditional and year-round calendars. Do we have anyone here to speak? Okay, so no further comments. We'll close the public hearing. Next item is approval of the agenda. Items are considered normal and routine and approved under one motion unless a board member would like any item pulled for discussion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by Ben,
Second.
seconded by Eric. All those approved? In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so motion carries 6-0. Any board member reports? Go ahead. Somebody else can go first.
Okay, I was invited to go check out some elementary science, and I got to go visit Maddie Camp's classroom, and I got to watch like 3 grades do their science, and that's the first time I've seen it since it's been pulled out in a separate environment, and I have to say it was very magical to watch. There's a reason I was secondary. It's a lot of organized chaos and a lot of consumables, but it is so cool how excited they are and engaged they are with the space and the materials and the dedicated time. So I was really grateful that they let me come watch that.
And remind me, do we have 4?
I think it's in every building now.
And we have 4 full teachers, or there's a teacher that splits?
There's 4 full teachers, 4 full, but Whittier goes between Whittier and LIW to pick up the extra sections at LIW.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's really awesome.
I was just gonna say, congratulate, over the weekend, or the week, we had Nora Onimus won the state championship in wrestling, Sierra Becker getting second, and then the boys team finishing second in state. I mean, they've been pretty much, it's like they might as well make a reservation in the championship. It seems like they've been there a lot, so congratulations to those coaches and athletes. It's phenomenal programs on both ends.
And growing in numbers
Yes.
on both ends.
That's why that new gym will be well suited for a growing program.
That's awesome. I just wanted to say, I have really enjoyed we've kind of launched that career quest, and that's something we've talked about a long time for, like, how are we going to, not advertise, but how are we going to show our community, like, what we're doing for career and tech education. So I know we've talked for a long time, what does, the portrait of a graduate from Indianola look like, but Career Quest, the first newsletter, I don't know, I'm excited to see that come full force, and now our community and our families can ask questions and be like, what is Career Quest, and really start learning about how we are preparing the kids. So I thought that was cool. Anything else?
One more. I just want to give kudos to Sue when we went through that cold snap, organizing, opening up her building as a warming center. I've spoken to several people in the community how impressed they were, and it's just, as we talk about all the time, strong schools and strong community goes hand in hand, and there's a lot of people in this community in need, and awesome job, Sue, getting that
Thank you.
going.
Yeah, we had a really, really good response from our city and our county, other nonprofits that just came together. And in the course of the 2 different times that we opened it, we saw over 20 people. A lot just ran into frozen pipes, or their homes couldn't keep the heat that it needed to. So we're learning every time we do it. But yes, it was good, and I've caught up on sleep, so I'm ready to go. But thank you.
We did get to recognize Danny Reitz as our Educator of the Year last Thursday. And so that was kind of a fun event to be able to share and hear the stories of Danny throughout the community. So. Anything else?
Public comment, do we have anybody signed up? No? Okay. So next item we will go is to the consent agenda. Items are considered normal and routine, are voted together unless one of the board members would like to pull an item.
I'm just going to make note, and I talked to Sue about this earlier, the high school show choir, we do have a change in venue for their out-of-state trip, and they're actually going to go to Lewis Central and perform at the show choir festival there instead of the Totino Graceland in Minnesota. We did put an out-of-state trip request, but I did receive late this afternoon that they have reservations on the Iowa side of the state, and so they don't necessarily need the out-of-state trip request. However, I did choose to leave it on there in case they did venture over into Nebraska for any events or outings, eating, or anything like that, since it's so close.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by Eric, seconded by Mac. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. And all opposed? Okay, passes 6-0. All right. Board committee reports. Who wants to speak on teaching and learning?
We haven't met, right?
These are just the SIAC meetings.
Okay, so just the SIAC.
Minutes, yeah. So the minutes that are in there are from our January SIAC meeting, and Lacey Chernus, who is our counseling and career teacher lead in her first position this year, is with us tonight. So she'll do a presentation here in a moment related to our district career and academic plan. And you had mentioned the Career Quest. That came out of DCAP a couple years ago. So I'm just going to introduce her now since we're in the middle of it. But at SIAC, Lacey shared out the curriculum that's being reviewed for our counseling program. And SIAC had the opportunity to look at some of those lessons, ask questions, give input into that, because they're in the process of reviewing materials for our program K-12. And that was the bulk of our meeting that night.
Okay. So, Ms. Chernus, you're up.
Alrighty, so here to talk about, do I need to talk into the microphone for the live stream?
No, but we do want your slides to go
Okay.
up if we can. Here.
Is that the plan?
Tony is right down here.
Is it a
It's being slow.
I see it spinning.
Mine won't load either, so it's,
What's that?
mine won't load either.
Yeah. It's spinning.
Yep, that looks good. So thank you for having me tonight. Here to talk about our district career and academic plan, which is also known as our DCAP. So I will go ahead and overview what the DCAP is, and then talk a little bit about our goals that we set last school year, give an update on where we're at with those, and then talk about goals that we set this school year moving forward. So first of all, what is the DCAP? The DCAP is a document that you have in your board packet. It will be finalized in March, but the DCAP is really our roadmap for how our district is going to ensure that every student creates what is called an ICAP. So an ICAP is an individualized career and academic plan, and this is written into legislation in Iowa that starting in grades 8, students develop these ICAPs and then they annually review them. There's some other legislation, and so as you go through, if you look at the DCAP, you'll see different sections. One of those that's new this year is there's a middle school section that will be updated as well. So new this year, starting in 5th grade, where we describe what we're doing in grades 5th, 6th, and 7th. Some other sections of the DCAP are our course planning, and that's where in grades 8 through 12, we detail how we are advising our students in course planning that align with their post-secondary and career goals. We also, there's a section on work-based learning, FAFSA advisement, and that FAFSA, again, beginning in grade 8, where we're advising students on the FAFSA and financial aid, and that middle school section as well. So the essential components of the ICAP, you'll see there's 5 components up there, and those are what students complete each year. So they complete activities in self-understanding. So when I know more about myself, my skills, my values, then I can start to understand maybe what more career information I might need and what areas. Career exploration helps me to broaden my horizons if I'm a student going through this process. What else is out there that aligns with my interests and my goals? Post-secondary exploration. And we know that post-secondary can look very different. Certificate programs, apprenticeships, 2-year programs, all the way up to undergrad. So what types of education do I need that align with my goals? And career and post-secondary decision. So those are the 5 areas that is the bulk of what students do when they are updating and revising their ICAP. Going through those activities, we often, for a lot of the activities, we use Zello, which is our career information system for the district. And so within Zello, there are lessons and activities that align with these ICAP requirements. Some of those are teacher instructed, counselor led, and some are independent as well. But it creates a portfolio for the student that's ongoing and evolves throughout those few years. So last year, our DCAP focus group set a goal of increasing the essential components, so those 5 areas that we just looked at, by 1 level. So what that means is each spring we submit our DCAP to our regional planning partners, and that's kind of like a group of schools in an area. So we submit that for scoring and for feedback. So our goal was to increase that by 1 level. Our outcome was we maintained that score. Certain subsections, we actually increased our score, and others we did not, and it ended up evening out for us. But we had some important learning through that process. So one consideration when we're comparing our feedback and score from the prior year is that the RPP, the Regional Planning Partnership, they changed the process for how the DCAP was scored. So last year there was a peer review process, which means we were paired with a school and another district scored our DCAP, and then we did the same, we scored their DCAP. So that was important. That that process was a little different, but then also with that, with learning how to score, there was about a half-day training before we scored each other's DCAP, and so that really gave us a lot of insight as to what really scores are looking for when they're going through the DCAP and providing that feedback. So that learning also helped to inform our action steps for the year. And if we go to the next slide. Just want to highlight last year's achievements. Some other achievements beyond our goal area, we increased our CTE certifications to 7. So those would be where students can earn an industry recognized credential. We increased the number of students participating in work-based learning. We utilized 3 CTE grants. Our FAFSA advisement was noted as a strength in our DCAP feedback. Our ICAP completion numbers were also a strength. That's the number of students who actually complete all 5 of those steps each year. Our 8th grade was noted as a strength throughout. There was creation of an 8th grade career investigation course. That started this semester, so every 8th grader will have a quarter in that course, which will set a really good foundation for them. A TLC position was created, which is the position I'm currently holding, and a TAP coordinator was added. So the TAP coordinator can work with students who have an IEP or a 504 plan on transition planning. So that was added last year as well. This is just an overview of our DCAP rubric and the feedback that we received. Each section, we have the ability to go in a little bit more in detail, but this just provides an overview for you. One of the things to note about the feedback is this is meant to be continuous improvement for us. So that number is not really evaluative. It helps inform us of how to set our goals for that next school year. Moving forward after last school year, so starting this school year, there will no longer be a number attached to the score. There will just be those categories: developing, proficient, advanced. So we'll get feedback without that number. All right, so this year our DCAP focus group, we looked at a lot of different data sources that you can see off to the left. We compiled the data to look at what are our strengths and what are our areas to improve. What we noted was that our strengths throughout, we are above state average in our post-secondary readiness indicators. So our graduation rate, college credit earned, FAFSA completion, ICAP completion as well. So we have a good foundation for our students. When we looked at SIAC feedback, community feedback, when we got some perspectives there, looking at the state goals for districts in Iowa and looking at our rubric from last year, we set some goals based on those data points. So off to the right are our 5 goal areas for this year. So the first one, increase parent awareness and engagement, increase opportunities for work-based learning and industry-recognized credentials, and that's a state goal. Strengthen essential components, so continuing on from that previous year based on our rubric feedback. Strengthen alignment with DCAP and MTSS, that's also based on our rubric feedback, so looking at identifying which students could use additional support in this area and what support to provide. And that last goal area, expand middle school career development to grade 5. Again, that was a state legislated mandate for this school year. So just an overview of where we are at with our goals that we set for this school year. These are broad actions that have been taken. Within the DCAP, there is a district summary that details more of these steps that have been taken in these areas. But that first goal, increase family engagement, we created an annual communication plan centered on monthly themes, and you saw Career Quest was part of that plan. Expanding work-based learning and industry-recognized credential opportunities. Next school year, there will be an elective career exploration course and childcare 3 electives, which provide those opportunities for work-based learning and industry-recognized credentials. Strengthen the essential components of the ICAP. We learned through that scoring process how important it was to have descriptions that are written in a way that the evaluators know exactly what we're doing with each of those activities. So really focusing on our student outcomes for every activity and student reflection. Our fourth goal of strengthening alignment with DCAP and MTSS, the addition of the TAP coordinator. And one thing that we're working on that's a longer term goal is developing a process to be able to track each experience students participate in so that we have an idea of who's participating in what, where might there be some gaps, and what services can we provide, because we know that we're providing a strong foundation in many different ways and many different activities. So that tracking process will help give us a baseline in that area. And then expand middle school career development to grade 5. This is really a baseline year. So in the DCAP for that grade 5, we compiled all of the things that are already happening, and we have some great things at each of the elementary buildings that are happening. We will get feedback in April. That's an area that the scoring will really look at this year. And we're starting discussions also about, are there certain opportunities that we want to make sure all 4 of the elementary buildings have so that all 4 students at all 4 buildings have the opportunity to engage in those. And then stakeholder participation. So through this process, some of the groups that are involved, the DCAP focus group, that's a really essential group of administrators, teachers, special education staff that review and help us to improve this plan each year. So they've been working hard throughout this first semester to help with developing these goals and looking at the data so that we can continue to improve in these areas. Our CTE advisory committee works with our CTE teachers and that department. They're a group of businesses that really help keep us informed and engage our students in opportunities throughout Indianola and the Indianola area. And then we have several additional community and family partners as well. And these stakeholders are essential to the work that we do with the DCAP. And then just our ICAP utilization numbers. So this just shows how many students in each grade level completed that ICAP process. You might notice there's some differences, some of the gaps with enrollment and then actual completion. Sometimes that may be due to students moving in or out. Level 3 special education students have a different process that they go through for transition that might not be captured in this data. We get this data from Zello, which is that career information system. And that is all, thank you. What questions?
I have a question for you. Can you just tell us really quickly the 7 industry recognized credentials that they get? And are those, like, is that they are ready to go into that field, so they have their high school graduation diploma and then they have a credential in that field, or?
So an industry recognized credential would show that you've gained certain skills or knowledge in a certain area. So like OSHA, that's a really common one,
Okay.
would be an example of that.
Okay.
So Off the top of my head, I don't know that I can list them all, but
So it's
OSHA
like-
would be one.
And like first aid CPR is considered an industrial credential or no?
No.
Okay.
But section 4 of the DCAP, right before that, there's a table that lists those IRC offerings. And that will increase to 11 offerings for next school year
Okay.
as well.
So some of those within the industrial technology fields, some in the foods classes, so.
Serve safe.
Yes, so the state has a list of these, that if we can incorporate those in, then the students can take a test out of it, and then that's that credential that they can earn. And the more we can increase those, that's really helps the students as they're looking for jobs and other things, because it shows they've already achieved that level of certification.
So you mentioned that the CTE certifications increased to 7. What was it previously?
I believe that was 4.
Okay, yeah, pretty big increase. And then you also mentioned that the WBL participation increased. What was that before?
So before, our understanding of what really qualified as work-based learning, that's evolved and the state has changed the definition. Previously, we were looking at what students are at a job site. They might be outside of our building, like an internship would be an example. With that definition, what that expanded our awareness to if there is an embedded work-based learning happening within the school, that counts as work-based learning. So an example would be, we have an art teacher who works with a business and their students create logos for that business. So when you're in a sustained partnership with a business, and it's a learning opportunity, not really an outcome for that business acts as a mentor and a guide for those students. So increasing our awareness and that description of what work-based learning, what is considered that, we captured that we had a lot that was already happening. And so we were able to increase that number through that inventory process of, where is this occurring?
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work.
Yes.
I know you're still trying to find your space in all of this, and so thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you all. Have a good night.
You too. Technology. Take it away, Eric.
A couple of the highlights. We talked about the Power School contract. I think it's been a long process, but we're close to having that all wrapped up. Network update, our fiber ring is live, and we've got the T-Mobile cellular backups in place. Talked a little bit about device replacement for students and staff, and what's the best way to handle that, and also mesh well with the budget. So some discussion around that, and then talked about the old admin building, all the technology equipment, cabling, and everything is in place and ready to use there. We're looking at a new high school network, and I think they've got, they put that out for bid, and they've got a couple RFPs back on that. I think those were the highlights. What else, Sue?
Nope. We just have 2 motions. The first one, so Grantwood AEA is who we are looking to contract with for the Power School contract. So they would be like our first level of support with Power School. And so Ray included that in there, so we need a motion to approve Grantwood AEA Power School contract for current year.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, Eric, Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 6-0. And then we just have another motion for the approval to purchase the technology equipment for the new high school from Communication Innovators.
So moved.
Okay, Eric, motion, and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Say nay. Okay.
So I was just gonna mention, on
Yeah.
that Grantwood AA, that's a savings to the district then too, based on how it's currently structured, is that correct?
It is, and it's a guaranteed 5% increase, so the AEA buys for everybody, and then we reap the benefits of that bulk purchase.
Gotcha.
And so it's a 5% increase versus a 7 to 9, which is what we're currently seeing in increases for those softwares.
Okay.
So it should be a savings longstanding too, but it is this year as well.
All right, cool.
Before we totally leave technology, can I ask a quick question about the device replacement? I know we touched on this just briefly at a finance meeting. Are we gathering information about device usage, particularly with the younger students? Like how frequently they're engaging with their one-to-one devices, or like feedback from parents, teachers, how much they're liking those?
That is
Because-
on the to-do list
Okay,
before we
perfect.
purchase for the elementary. Now, we're a few years from doing that.
Okay.
Just because, like we talked about, we want to make sure that we can rotate on a more manageable. So yes, but we haven't done it yet. That is on the docket to make sure that we're using those effectively, and how do we recycle those if we're not. So yes.
I might add, it was also in our discussion about whether the elementary students would continue to take their
Devices
yeah,
home,
devices
yeah.
home.
Just things like, behaviors of students with devices, that kind of stuff. I wasn't sure what all we were collecting as we were thinking about that.
We'll bring that back, probably to the technology committee, just what types of information we're going to collect so that we can make a knowledgeable decision on that.
Anything else? Technology-based? No? Okay. Finance. The brains behind finance. Not me.
Is this Eric too?
Max, you want to take it?
We didn't have a meeting.
We didn't meet.
for this.
What was our,
It landed odd.
what was our meeting on the 20th?
I think we shared about that last time we were all together, didn't we?
20th would have been after. Wasn't this when we had our discussion on budget reconfiguration?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not making things up.
You're not. No, you're not. It's when we were in a
Don't
different
mess with an
room.
old guy like that.
Yes, we were in the fun room, remember?
Eric's always spot on, he just plays coy sometimes.
It was in the fun room, that's why you didn't think it was even a meeting.
Yes.
Right.
It was so fun.
Fun
Right.
room.
So,
And we decided not to do the IPERS changeover, or make that recommendation.
correct, yep. Yeah, so I think some of the highlights there is just, with the reduction in students that we're seeing, just wanting to make sure that we're keeping tabs on that and aligning, coming up with a budget that's sustainable and staying on top of that. So I'd say no final decisions there necessarily, but just looking at different strategies. And then I think, one of the other things we talked a little bit about was just, is there a good way to project out what the future changes in enrollment at the school might look like? And no firm answers there, but just more of a discussion item. Those were the two big things I remember.
And we talked about like the attrition plan.
Right.
Looking at every position as it comes open, and then at LIW from 4 sections to 3 sections, but through attrition moving. And if we didn't get to 4 sections or 3 sections, because we didn't have enough places to move, that we're okay doing that, but that's the goal. And then if our population increases at the elementary, those class sizes would be added to LIW, because that's where the sections we have room for section growth there.
Anything else to add? Are those minutes gonna get posted then
Yes,
later?
yeah,
Why
I
are they
will,
in there?
I will post those, and I'll add them to next board meeting just for your approval there, or everybody's.
Thank you.
in there. Yes, I apologize, I don't know why that wasn't added.
Just testing me.
I was.
Not nice.
Yes, good job. Good job.
Not nice.
Okay. And I can share those out to everybody after the board meeting too.
Monthly financials.
The January financials are presented to you. We changed a little bit in how they're presented. Instead of the year-end budget, we have the year-to-date budget, so you can see going along from month to month how we compare during the month to give an indication of if we're running ahead or behind the percent of year-to-date. So everything right now is within line where we want to be. It's within the budget, so everything there is looking good. I don't know if you have any specific questions.
Motion to approve the financials.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Okay, so next we need to look at the annual child care fee increase for the summer 2026 and the 2026-2027 school year. It was presented in our packet to us, 3%. Does anyone have questions?
When's the last time that was changed?
Last year. Last year. And the reason we're recommending 3% is generally hourly employees receive the same percentage as like TAs, which is a 4.2. And so if we're gonna stay up on making sure that we stay on top of our financials for childcare, that raise needs to happen so that we can increase the cost. We're running our childcare, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, about even right now. A little ahead, a little in the black, but if you remember, if childcare goes in the red, it can't be supported by K-12 dollars. So our general fund cannot support childcare, which means we either have to have a dramatic increase at that point, or we have to close childcare, and we're trying to prevent that from happening by increasing a little bit every year going forward.
So fair balance to provide the service and, yep. I'll make a motion to approve the annual child care increase.
Second?
Ken first, Eric second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 6-0. Facilities.
So, you want me to do it, Sue?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, might need a reminder. Let's see. We talked about, obviously, driven by on 92 baseball projects, finishing up. The fencing is up now. I think they're close to signing off on completion of it, Bernie. Is that correct, or still doing the bullpens?
Yeah, within the playing fields on both baseball and softball, turf projects are completed. We've got to do a walkthrough next Monday on the softball field. One of the things we talked about as the baseball was finishing up is that we really didn't want to have kids on there until we had the fences around the perimeter of the fields themselves. That was to protect not only the contractors but the district too. So you may have seen handful of kids out there last week, and we told them, nope, sorry, you gotta wait until we sign off paperwork. So, yeah, other than that, there's just a handful of things on the perimeter that need to be completed up on both projects. Right now, today they're working on a softball dugouts, putting the roofs on those, so it's coming along really well.
We also talked about, as we move into the next phase of this high school project, just kind of the expected disruption that may occur with some, limited gym space, or, having to move concerts perhaps to maybe the Blake Fieldhouse or to home elementaries. But, nothing's been set in stone, but, Bernie's well ahead of it and got a plan for it. I think it's expected. I think people expect, a little bit of a disruption for the next year, just as we transition into the older part of the high school and start working on that. So, and then obviously too with that, there'll be a little change in where the construction equipment is and how we access the building and all that. But Bernie's on top of it. They got a good plan in place. And as Sue pointed out too during our meeting, it's really no different than how we adapted during COVID with how we held some events and in different facilities. So, and then the other thing was, which I think we have a motion for coming up, is the Whittier Elementary Playground, turfing that, which, I don't know, seems to be that as I drive around and look at other schools, it just seems to be the trend, and it makes total sense. I'm sure my mother would have appreciated a non-muddy playground when I was a child. So, it just makes sense when you're sending those kids out in the spring and when we have melt like a day like today. Gonna look into that. I think we set in the public hearing for that later on.
And acceptance of the bid documents for the next meeting.
So, was that it? I missed something. Did I miss anything? Bernie, did I miss anything?
No, high school, obviously the high school project is going really good. Talk about baseball, softball, the Whittier project, replacing the rubber tile to turf. And both those playgrounds over there. That's pretty much it. And then the disruptions, you mentioned that already.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do need to set a public hearing date and bid acceptance for Whittier Playground. The recommendation is to set it Monday, March 9th at 5:30.
So at that meeting, you'll hear anybody that wants to speak on the project, as well as have the bids that we've received to consider in there, so. And if you remember, this was postponed from last year about this time. We're behind the 8 ball last year and said it's too soon, or too quick of a process, we couldn't get it done in time. This year we were able to plan it out, we had our bid documents ready, and its timeline says it'll be ready before school starts, so.
I recommend setting the meeting for Monday, March 9th at 5:30. Hold public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, next is the construction manager at risk for phase 2 of the high school construction project. Administration recommends approval to move forward with the construction manager at risk process. Mr. Brick is here to answer any questions. And this is, that will need motion. Would you like to take the podium?
No.
No, okay.
You didn't know I was gonna put that in there.
I didn't know you were doing
Maybe just really quick definition of what a construction manager at risk will help us, because this is for phase 2 only, correct?
It is for phase 2 only. And so what it does is it has our construction team identified earlier in the project so that they can work with the architects to identify any glitches that might happen and be a part of the construction process, the pre-construction process. The idea is that it eliminates most of any change orders that would happen because that team is working together before the documents go out to bid, rather than the contractors coming in after the documents have already gone out to bid and accepted, and we accept them, and now, oh, but that doesn't work. That's not happening, that, we can't do it that way, that happens ahead of time. As I told you in my write-up on Friday and in our meetings, this has only been used in schools since 2022 when the legislation opened it up to public school districts. It's been used in different settings in the public sector, just not in schools. So relatively new process. We did have a conversation this morning with an architect who said this really is a good method to go with and would recommend it if she were on the project, so.
The assumption is it's going to be cost saving.
That's the assumption.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, you don't get a maximum price until you pick your contractor, and then they set the maximum price at that point. We do all of our costing, budgeting, just like we normally would, so we would have an idea of what that's gonna cost us before we put documents out to bid, but maximum price doesn't come till after. The other difference is, before you have to take the lowest bid, right, in the traditional form, you have to take the lowest bidder. There are some caveats where you wouldn't have to, but this allows you to have a rubric developed based on what's important to the district, and you evaluate each contractor that submits for contractor at risk based on that rubric. It's all public, they can see it, and then you select your contractor at that point from that process. We've talked to contractors, we've talked to architects, and we've talked to attorneys, and all three seem to suggest that this would be a good process, especially with the dollar amount that we're working with. It's not a huge project in terms of construction projects where if something goes awry, we'd be stuck, where this seems to be a manageable one too, if we want to test it out on this project. Brian and Bernie, anything?
I think you covered it.
Makes sense. So, I'll make a motion to approve the construction manager at risk for phase 2 of the high school construction project.
So Ben made the motion.
Second.
Eric seconded. All those in favor say
I
aye.
have some discussion before we move on.
Okay.
Just to clarify, are we aiming to ensure that local contractors have the opportunity to bid out as subs?
Yes, it's bid just like it is normally once it gets to the contractor level. So your general contractor then subs out or goes out to bid for those subs. That process doesn't change. Anything else? Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. As part of this committee also, we need to look at the cost-sharing agreement for dismantling the former joint fuel facility with the district's cost not to exceed $10,000. So, you want to give a little background
Yeah,
information
absolutely.
on this one?
So this has to do with the joint fuel facility, which we used to use. We now have our own fuel station. And what we have to do now as part of that 2080 agreement is to use our share or pay for our share of dismantling that fuel facility. They've taken up bids, and it looks to be at about $4,000 or $40,000. The city has divided that amongst four, with the district being 1/4 of that, the county being 1/4, the city their share, and then IMU would have 1/4 of that. So $10,000 per entity. What this agreement also says is that we're maxed out at $10,000. So if it costs more than that, our share is $10,000. That's it. If they find as they get in that something is awry and they have to do further discovery or whatever, we're out at $10,000. So that's what this agreement is saying. We will pay up to, but not to exceed $10,000 to dismantle that on the 14th Street fuel facility.
Did the county approve the contract?
I don't know if the county did. But that is up to the city to take care of per this agreement. And if they.
It's my belief, based on reading the 2080, that the city did not provide notice to the school district per the agreement to shut the fuel facility down. There was an 18-month requirement for them to shut that off. Now, the county gave their consent to walk away from that in December of 2022. The city never gave that. So in my opinion, the city vacated that without the appropriate steps being taken in the 2080 agreement. And in my opinion would be that we don't have any responsibility to this because of that.
And we did take that through our attorney, and I think you have all of that. And they have a different opinion, that we do have our share of that the county made theirs. And when the county said, hey, we're out, that null and voided the 2080 agreement, is what the attorney said. So at that point, it's null and void. Whether the city gave it to us or not, the county had already said, hey, we're out, which then null and voids the whole agreement. I understand the frustration,
I just don't think that the way that it was handled was correct. But
I don't disagree with that.
I think it's important to note too, though, to help soften the blow, is by entering into by having our own fueling facility, and there is going to be savings through the years. So it's kind of a bad breakup, but at the end of the day, like, we're in a better position moving forward to save money on our overall annual fuel costs. So worth noting, I guess.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we still need a motion for the cost sharing agreement. Our portion to dismantle the former joint fuel facility would not exceed $10,000.
I'll make a motion to approve the cost sharing agreement for dismantling the joint fuel facility.
Second.
Any other discussion? And then, Brian, this is a roll call.
Mac Rankin.
no.
Ben Metzger.
Yes.
Eric Christensen.
Yes.
Sue Wilson.
Yes.
Jeanette Campbell.
Yes.
Brady Dar.
Yes.
Okay, so then the next on the agenda here is a resolution to terminate the 2080 agreement of the former joint fuel facility. So we'll just need a motion to terminate this agreement.
And this resolution, or our board action and the resolution that goes along with it, has to be filed with the state to formally recognize this agreement as null and void and no longer in place. So that's what this is doing. We have to, because this is filed with the state currently as a 2080 agreement between the parties, this says, no, it's no longer in place.
Move that we approve the resolution to approve termination and provide notice of termination.
Eric made the motion,
Second.
and seconded, and this is a roll call vote.
Brady Dar.
Yes.
Jeanette Campbell.
Yes.
Sue Wilson.
Yes.
Eric Christensen.
Yes.
Ben Metzger.
Yes.
Mac Rankin.
Yes.
Okay. On to policy. Okay. Policy team.
I did list from our policy meeting, everything as it was on our agenda. So I didn't
That's a
put,
lot.
I didn't necessarily put the minutes in there, because I figured we could talk about them as we go through if need be. The first, under A, there's two sets. 50601 is the educational records access. There is an update or an annual review. Those have to be annually reviewed by the board. And so this is just being brought to you for the annual review. And then the chronic absenteeism, 50109, added, I think it was weddings and funerals to the actual policy. What's that?
And military service.
And military service. Those are legislatively updated, and so there's not a whole lot of board action other than to approve them in an annual review of those. So I do ask that we waive the second reading so that we can just update those, since there's not a lot that we have to say with either of those. Then we went and reviewed all the policies, and reviewed and revised all the other policies. This is your first look at all of those, so there's no board action other than to accept the first reading. And then between now and next month, if you have any questions or you want anything reviewed or looked at further, we can certainly do that.
And I think it's fair to describe the changes as pretty minor and just adopting the recommended language, so not a lot of earth-shattering
Yeah.
movement.
If you remember, we're going through the ISB policy audit, and that's where any changes or updates would come from that policy audit and recommendations based on those.
So, is that a yearly audit?
No, it's usually once every 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
We just completed it last year, and so we're making our way through their recommendations.
Oh, okay.
So, one of the things, just interesting tidbit, but there were some policies that were dealing with public behavior, and so one of the things that was added is that gestures are now included
Vulgar and obscene and gestures.
as part of public behavior. They had
There you have it.
So if we do first reading tonight and we have questions, comments for the committee, we just send that.
Because we'll have another committee meeting before the second reading of these. Yep.
But to you, to the committee?
You can just send them to me. Yep. Unless, Eric, you want to field all of those and house them for us.
pass.
It is a riveting committee, I will tell you.
So you still need a motion though?
Yes.
For the waive?
For the waiving of the second reading for 50601 and the exhibits that go with that one. And then 501.09, which is the chronic absenteeism updates
Okay.
in there.
I'll make a motion to waive second reading of the listed policies.
Second.
Eric, second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
And then the first reading.
And then you would like a motion for the board policies for the first reading, including policies to review, revise, rescind, and renew policies.
Yep, I'll make a motion for board policy first readings and send any revisions to Eric.
I'll second that.
Careful what you wish for.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay. Next is looking at the approval of the 2026-2027 academic calendars. We have both the year-round and the traditional calendars. You want to just take a minute, say everyone that's had a chance to look at them and review them and weigh in on them?
Yes, so our administrative and cabinet team have looked at these, and our staff have looked at them several times. So I sent out the draft to everybody, collected feedback. From that, then I made some adjustments based on that feedback, sent it back out. Came back and there was a February date, February 12th, I think. It was a Monday, and it was asked to move that to a Friday for, there's a Ascension, and then there's a band clinic and concert on that Saturday to help with the setup and things of that. that also corresponds with state wrestling. And so we traditionally have a lot of kids and staff that want to attend that. So we moved those, which is what is presented in the traditional. The final update in the year-round is I overlooked early outs for year-round for parent-teacher conferences in September, I think. We can't do a 1 hour early out because that really messes with transportation. And so there's one day that they won't have an early out that we traditionally do in the traditional calendar. So there was an adjustment that needed to be made there for transportation purposes. Otherwise, I think I've received very positive feedback on the calendars. I think there's always going to be a glitch. Somebody didn't get the exact thing that they wanted, but overall, I think we've met people's needs and wants with it.
What were some of the top items of feedback on the first round? What are things? What are they
On the
looking for?
first round?
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
What comments did you send us?
Those were the first round comments from them. Yeah, I can pull them up.
It was mostly positive,
Yeah, yep.
really positive.
You guys are all good with calendar?
This is weird for me because I'm looking at it having a graduating senior. And I'm like, what? But then I noticed graduation is not on Memorial Day weekend.
There were
And I'm game with that.
multiple times in the feedback where they said comments of, thank you for hearing us out. Like, we noticed things that you clearly heard us. So,
I just want to appreciate the process. It would give me anxiety. I always use the analogy, it's like trying to figure out where to go to dinner with a group of 20 people. You're gonna make half of them upset, but I appreciate the feedback. It'll never be unanimous, but it gets it as close as possible. So appreciate your process with that, Tara.
Oh, absolutely. And like I told people today when I was at the high school, for many of us that administratively, we're here all year round. So if we can make it as friendly for teachers and academically sound for students, that's our goal, right? And I think a lot of them appreciate that. The feedback was they appreciate the time at Christmas. There's 2 weeks there. It gives a good solid break in there. The conferences in the spring are yet to be determined because we haven't been through that yet. But they like the idea of having them in March tide right before spring break and then having that Friday off. The other thing that we did was went back to 1 hour early outs before school breaks. So like at Christmas time and Thanksgiving time. And then that flex day option on the last day of school. Like this year they come back for one to have that flex day so that they don't have to come back for that last day, that second week in there. The trade-off is I had to take some hours, which would be used for snow days or a time on the 28th. Because one of the things that the administrators really wanted was that goodbye time with staff before they went off to summer, gather items from staff members who weren't returning, making sure that we had curriculum needs met. And so having that half day on the 28th. Catch-22, right? That last day is crazy with kids. So having a half day isn't a bad thing because you can do all of your things in the morning, send them off. But we do miss some hours with them on that last day. So I can resend the minutes. I can't, or the comments. I can't pull them up quickly here for you, but I'll resend those to you.
I just got a really strong sense that people felt valued and that we were respectful of the fact that they have families too and they travel too, and that was really refreshing. So thank you.
You've done, and to piggyback on that too, just like we've talked about, there's only sometimes so much financially, but if you can give employees other things, I think the other big thing is how you've approached the snow days, the work days for teachers, just letting them be professionals and do it at home. Like that's been huge, so much appreciated and noticed.
Is that?
It would be, now there's a flex day, which is what we compromised on. It would come back on the June 1st, but added that flex day in to be used anytime in the second semester
Our retired staff will be done on the 28th.
on the 28th. Yes. Yep. Yes, which helps with IBRs and that check.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026-2027 academic calendar, including year-round and traditional.
Any motions, seconded by Mac. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So motion carries 6-0. Board calendar. Do we have any dates or people that need to look at moving anything around? That public hearing will go just like we did today with the other one, so it'll go on March 9th. And then
I'm going to be gone for HR next Thursday, if you guys want to meet a different day instead. Or you can still meet, I just won't be there.
Is there anything pressing that can't wait until March?
We'll have one in March because
Or-
of spring break.
Oh, that's right.
So that's the 19th,
I-
right?
I'm good with waiting until the next scheduled meeting unless something pressing comes up that we need to meet for.
We have an agenda that we need to get through, we can pick another date, otherwise we can wait. Whatever.
As long as you promise to bring donuts in April.
From Yummies.
From the new
From the new place, is it going to be open?
Yummies,
Deal? All right.
just let us know if we need to meet before our next scheduled time. Anything else?
I did just send you the notes from the staff as well as finance committee. So you have those.
All right, anything else? The great or good? Is it still 65 degrees outside? All right,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Have a good week. Have a good March, or what are we, February?
February.
February?
Feels like March.
Yeah, kinda, and I was thinking about that spring break up there.
Jason has
Brady, did you second the?
Mac did.
We all did.